Welcome to the Shrink Wrap Show. I'm Pam Hernandez-Kaufman.
And I'm Talia Peak. We're two shrinks bringing you holistic health hacks.
With our 30 years of combined experience in therapy, we share helpful information about common issues that everyone faces.
Then we break down powerful, proven tools you can start using right away to better your life and your relationships.
Let's wrap.
Welcome back to the Shrink Wrap Show.
Glad to be with you today.
Today we're going to talk about anxiety.
We are.
Yeah, so...
You don't look anxious, T.
Oh my gosh, I'm always anxious. I feel like, no.
We always have new material.
Yeah, it's funny because when we try to figure out what we want to talk about, it's like, oh, we've got all these different lists that we want to do. And what I found is that let's just like go through what we go through every day.
Go through what we see. So yeah, what we know is that anxiety is high.
Yes.
Lots and lots of people experiencing anxiety that maybe never experienced it before. We're still sort of in the post-COVID recovery phase, and we're in a political time and a world time that is causing a lot of people to feel unsafe. And that's actually what anxiety is about. It's about a fear response. My brain doesn't know the difference between a real or perceived threat. And so when I feel fearful, it activates the stress response.
Right.
And my limbic system gets activated and I'm sort of walking around like this, really nervous. We have body reactions that tell us, hey, you're not okay.
Yeah.
And we want to get rid of that.
Right.
And we don't know how sometimes, and we want to avoid that feeling because it doesn't feel comfortable.
Yeah. So I think let's start out with like what is like the physical parts that we feel in anxiety.
I mean, everybody's different, but for the most part, we know that people will feel rapid heart rate, sort of a hard to swallow, feel a knot, shaky, flushed. And sweaty, yes. Maybe dizzy.
Yeah.
Imbalanced.
Yeah.
It generally just feels like a malaise. It feels bad.
Yeah.
We don't like it. And we struggle, usually when we're feeling anxious, with knowing what to do, how to get out of it. It feels like a stuck feeling.
Right.
I can't access, because this is happening,
right.
I can't access my prefrontal cortex, where I can think more clearly, make decisions, process, concentrate, and know my path. So anxiety kind of takes me in this place where I'm sort of spinning.
Yeah.
We were just talking about the Shrink Wrap Show too, right? And if you've seen it,
Inside Out too.
Shrink Wrap, that's us.
We're part two.
Inside Out too, where the anxiety character is so clearly depicting how joy or happiness is blocked from getting through to the character. The protagonist cannot experience joy. We can't experience joy when we're in a place of fear.
And we feel like we've lost control.
And it feels like you're losing control.
Yeah.
And so in the movie, what we see is joy just keeps pressing in to eliminate the fear and has to pull the fear away.
Right.
So it's like that with us.
Yeah.
And so really what we want to give you today are a couple of tools that you might use to press through and dissipate that fear.
Yeah. So you can get back online, problem solve, be creative, be able to regulate, and go on with what you're doing.
Yeah. One of the things we know, and Neil Anderson, we love him. He's a great author of Victory Over the Darkness. He says that anxiety signals an uncertain goal, and anxiety is about uncertainty.
Right.
And so tip one would be learn to live with uncertainty.
Yeah.
Learn that it will be part of life. There will be things I don't know the answer to. There will be answers that don't come yet. There will be things that I'm waiting to know about and things to happen. And so to live in that place of not knowing and be okay with, I will know, and it won't always feel like this.
Yeah.
Number two would be, I've got to really get in there and change the way I'm thinking about things. Because what I will tend to do when I'm in an anxious place is to lock in on a negative narrative. Again, my brain, when it is in distress response or stress response mode, it is looking for other negative pieces of information. It's very difficult for it to find positive because it's geared to protect me. And it's not going to be able to protect me if it's looking all flowers and lovely and this is so great. So I have to intentionally say, all right, I got this. It'll be okay. What's good about this? I felt like this before and it went away.
Right.
I recovered. And so I began to tell myself what it is that I want to happen and affirm myself. Normalize the situation that, hey, yeah, this happens. There's uncertainty.
Yeah.
I'll get through this. Whatever happens, I'll come out on the other side okay.
When you're talking about that, I think of that cognitive behavioral loop. And especially whenever like we get into that thought process that is so negative and you're looking for all of those negative pieces to increase that belief that it's the worst thing ever. It's the worst possible thing ever. So catastrophizing or magnification. Sure. And so that belief just becomes so big.
It becomes this unmanageable. If you were to see it in a tangible form, it would be a ginormous...
Right. You can't see anything past it.
No,
right.
You can't. And I remember when I was thinking about getting my doctorate, right? So I'm thinking, I want to get my doctorate. Well, I'm 57 years old. So when I didn't hear from the school after I applied, over time, right? It's because we know that anxiety will build over time. I'm still waiting for an answer. I'm still waiting for an answer, particularly if I had an expectation. I should have heard by now. I should know by now. I should be married by now. I should have children by now. All of those kinds of things. And so when I didn't get an answer, I began to create a narrative in my head. My narrative said, you're too old, they won't want you. You're too old, you won't be able to think clearly. You're too old, what are you doing this for? You'll be the oldest one in the program. Right? You'll never have the longevity to finish it. You have to write a dissertation. You think you can write a dissertation? And so what we want to talk to you about is talking back to that negative self-talk.
Exactly.
It doesn't help.
Yeah.
And it is actually counterproductive.
Yeah.
And so we know it doesn't feel truthful to talk back to it, but we do it anyway.
Right.
Do it anyway.
Do it anyway.
And so in that instance, for me, I began to say, if I get in, I get in. If I don't, I'll try somewhere else. And I'm not too old because this is a dream and a goal I have. And I will finish. I'll take it one thing at a time. But we can catastrophize. We can do the whole thing. I'll be dead before I even get the acceptance letter up, right? So you do this too. You guys out there. So that would be number 2. Number 3 would be, what kinds of tools do we have that we know help?
Right.
So people who are prone to be anxious, because there are some of us who genetically and hereditarily just are more prone to anxiety. So if that's the case, then we want to look at a good sleep hygiene program.
Right.
Am I sleeping? Because we're gonna not be on our best game when we're not sleeping. There are some great things we can diffuse that are calming. Right? We know lavender is helpful. We also know creating just a sensory, pleasing environment around myself. Mind-body practices, just bringing my attention to the beauty around me. Movement is helpful for anxiety. So kind of walking through it, because we're describing it as a stuckness. If I begin to just walk, take a walk outside, feel the sun, not right now, too hot.
It's a little hot.
But get out there and kind of push through that big barrier.
Yeah, and some of my favorite skills that I use in practice are fidgets. And I'm a very fidgety person to begin with. So even in sessions, I've got like a pop-it with me, or I've got like a stress ball with me, a squishy ball. I've got like soft things, some things that have texture on it. And not only do I see like children using them, but I also see adults use them too. And they're like, I am so stressed out today. And I'm like, here's a fidget. And they're like, like it's so nice.
I'm touching something.
Yeah,
it's grounding so me. Right.
Yeah.
And that's another thing.
And you can kind of just see all of that anxiety just melt. I mean, it works for me, especially just being a alpha wave kind of person, an anxious kind of person.
Well, and we also know that any mindfulness practice, so if I'm sort of putting some mindfulness exercises into my day, we like the positive intelligence material that says, hey, every 2 to 3 hours, do a 2-minute break.
Right.
And then when something comes that's going to activate this stress response, well, you've built up plenty in your emotional bank account and you can pull from. Sometimes, honestly, looking at step 5 that can be helpful is friends, people who can be supportive and talk us off the ledge. It'll be fine. You're okay. I've experienced that too.
Right.
Don't worry. The right thing will happen. Hang in there. So those words are so encouraging, and we can borrow them from someone else when we can't find them for ourselves.
Yeah. So who's your person?
You.
Aww. Of course. Thank you.
It's true.
Me too.
Yeah. Pick safe people.
Yes.
Don't pick people who are going to be competitive with you or have an angle.
Right.
Pick someone is a tried and trusted person that you can count on in those kinds of moments where you can't find your way.
And then, of course, I think another big thing, Pam, is that recognize that, yes, maybe you go through all of these different steps and it's still not working. Maybe there's a chemical imbalance and you need some kind of psychiatric medication.
I love that you mentioned that. I love that you mentioned that. There's a lot of negative talk, sometimes particularly within different factions of society. For example, the church has traditionally been anti-medication. Hey, listen, in 24 years of doing therapy, I have found that for some people, whether it's anxiety, OCD, depression, ADHD, medication has been the saving grace.
Yeah.
And so, as I said, sometimes we've got a hereditary or predisposition. Our gear shifter doesn't shift quite as readily. Our basal ganglia is overactivated, and that's tied in with anxiety. And we need a little help from our friends in the medication world.
And be honest and open with them. If you feel like it's not working, I have a really good relationship with a psychiatrist, and that's so important. Having that relationship with someone that you can say, hey, I don't think this is working, or I'm feeling, kind of off, or that kind of thing. But be open and willing to share that, your body is not reacting in the
and there is no shame.
Yeah.
No shame in taking medication.
No.
Yeah. For a number of years, I had a lot of anxiety and I took medication for several years and it got me through some hard times, some really hard times. And again, night and day for some clients. And so we hardly recommend that if needed. We also know nutraceuticals can be helpful.
Absolutely.
Lots of things can help with anxiety that you would naturally take. So
to me, it's horses.
Horses are your anti-anxiety tool.
It's my anti-anxiety tool.
Hey, we really can't say enough about horses and dogs.
Right.
They are the most calming friends that we could possibly have. So, I mean, I think we've got some things in there.
Yeah, we do.
So, just know that for some people, it's a hereditary thing. Watch what you're saying to yourself.
Yep.
Know that this is normal and people struggle with it and it will feel like a stuck place. Know that when you're in that stress response mode, it'll be difficult to find positive, so you got to search for it. Right? Use some of those relaxation tools and or nutraceuticals and psychopharm if needed.
Yes.
Reach out to phone a friend.
Phone a friend.
If you need to. And those are our hacks for today for dealing with anxiety. Let's get anxiety out of here.
Get it out of here.
Yeah. Thanks.
Take care.
Thanks for joining us.
We're so glad you joined us today on the Shrink Wrap Show.
If you enjoyed this episode or found it helpful, remember to hit the subscribe button, the like button, and share the show with people you care about.
Also, your feedback is valuable, so leave a comment, question, or suggestion, and we'll see you next time on the Shrink Wrap Show.